right, today we jump into the full-size, full custom Brad Southard knives Tolk. So I just did a video on the mini Tolk. Here it is compared to the full size. And I love their packaging. This one is very similar. This one doesn't have the brass, I believe it was brass or copper tag with all of the details about the knife. But you can see how these are kind of rough cut, which again just goes to show the handmade customness of the knives that Brad makes there in Tempe, Arizona. So 100% US made company. The performance series are, some people do other parts and Brad does a bulk of it, as he says. And on the custom versions, Brad does the whole thing, 100% soup to nuts. And yeah, these are really pretty amazing knives. There is no question about it. Solid lockups, super sharp. I believe this one probably gets carried more by the owner, Joseph, than the other. And this is probably a fresh edge. I don't know that for sure, but crazy sharp. Almost cut my finger open just measuring it and getting all the details. Okay, let's just jump right into the specs. 5 inches closed. 8 3/4 overall with a 3.86-inch blade with a 3.75-inch cutting edge. This one is way more my size than the mini. Behind the edge is 0.014. The blade steel is CTS XHP on this one, whereas this one is 20 CV. Weighs in at 4.6 ounces versus 3.6, I want to say. I don't recall. Let me see on my paper here. My notes from the other video really quick. 2.6, sorry. 2.6 versus 4.6. Overall thickness, the blade thickness is 0.137, and I guess I didn't measure the overall thickness. I wrote my notes in the wrong spots, but that's okay. You get the idea. And this one also runs on ceramic bearings. Now, something I mentioned in the other video on this guy is even with some lock bar pressure, it's going to fire open. And a lot of times that's a problem with knives. We see it for sure on Shirogorovs, and I talked about that in this video. Here, same thing. I can put some lock bar pressure on it, and it's still going to open just fine. Now, that to me, that's a pretty unique way of building a knife. It really is. Because not most, but a lot of different knives are susceptible. The Shirogorovs are very susceptible to lock bar pressure. No question. I had a CKF muscle years ago. Thanks, Jim Skelton, for forcing me to buy that one because you talked so highly of it. That one had crazy sensitivity to lock bar pressure. The Shirogorovs also have that, whereas the Southard knives do not. These things fire like freaking crazy. Zoom in and take a close-up look at this thing. The machining and the milling on the smaller one is a little more intricate, perhaps, but I'm not taking anything away from this one. Nice little stonewash there. And the milling here is just crazy. I mean, yeah, it's just beautiful. Has almost like a floating backspacer, how the backspacer is kind of chamfered there, so it looks like it's floating almost. This one also has some big, deep milling pockets inside the scales. See if I can show you that. These are actually, it just has a couple of bigger pockets, whereas on the mini, it has a bunch of smaller pockets. Yeah, it's just, these are so well done. It's crazy. I prefer the thumb stud action on this one as opposed to the flipper. Lock bar access is super great. Easy to get to. Jimping on the back of the spine is also awesome. This one has just a bent, I believe it's a titanium clip also, whereas the Mini has a 3D milled clip. Very similar, but very different at the same time. Now, these both came in from my friend Joseph in Ohio. I think I mentioned that. He's been a big supporter of the channel, and I greatly appreciate his help, as well as everybody that loans things in. Obviously, I cannot buy every knife, and I can't do daily content showing just my own knives. I mean, I own a bunch, but I don't own enough to do a video every day. That would be, damn, that would be a collection, wouldn't it? Are we collectors or enthusiasts? And is there a difference? I saw some buddies talking about that on a Watch Channel live stream last night, and it got me thinking. So I'm going to do a video on that, but let me know your thoughts down below. Is there a difference between a collector and the enthusiast? All right, here's a couple of size comparisons. Here it is with the Mini. The Mini is such a cool knife. Here it is with the Spyderco Delica. I mean, this full size is also a great knife, but the action on the Mini is maybe just a little bit snappier. Here's the Shirogorov Neon, just because I happen to have it here. Talking big knives, let's go with the VC Edge interface. And since we are here and we're talking full customs, let's go Red Horse Knife Works Hellraiser, the newest one in my collection. You can see these are thin. Now this is a little chunky maybe. If we go to like the production Hellraiser, a little bit more normal, but these are thin for sure. Let me show you with the Mini. About the same thickness as the Mini. And the Mini I did measure, and it's 0.410 overall thickness. So, yeah, they're about the same size. These are two great knives from a great US maker. So, let me know your thoughts. I would greatly appreciate it. And Joseph, once again, thank you for loaning these in.